Welcome to Sports Spectrum, the sports and faith podcast that brings Jesus back into the conversation. Here's your host, Jason Romano.
This episode of the podcast with baseball pitcher Jason Adam is brought to you by Compassion International. Compassion.com/sports spectrum. That's the website to go to. And for $38 a month, you provide food, education, medical care, and vocational training for a child in need. No child should ever go without the basic essentials that every person needs, deserves, and should have. And through Compassion International, you can provide that. $38 a month. What a great deal. What a great way to release a child from poverty. Compassion.com/sports spectrum is the website. Go check it out. $38 a month. Sponsor a child today. Today on the podcast, we talked to Jason Adam. Now, in 2018, Jason Adam pitched for the Kansas City Royals. 8 years earlier, in 2010, he was selected by those same Royals in the 5th round of the 2010 MLB Amateur Draft. And 2018 was quite the year for Jason Adam, because not only did he make his Major League Baseball debut on May 5th, but he became a dad to Kinsley Joy on June 24th of 2018. And it was quite the year. And that's why we wanted to have Jason on the podcast to talk about 2018. His journey's pretty awesome. And it wasn't an easy journey just to get to the major leagues. I mean, you heard what I said. He was drafted in 2010 and didn't make his debut till 2018. And so that's quite the journey there of 8 years of trying to get to the big leagues. But so much happened in the midst of that, including growing in his faith in a way that probably wouldn't have happened if he hadn't gone through all of these trials. And Jason is married to Kelsey, his wife, and she plays a role in all of this too, and you'll hear about that in a second. And like I said, their daughter Kinsley Joy was born on June 24th of 2018. And I was able to catch up with Jason at a recent conference in Florida. We were able to talk in person and hear his story, his testimony of coming to faith and that amazing kind of whirlwind roller coaster that took place in 2018 as Jason made his Major League Baseball debut with the Kansas City Royals. Take a listen to our conversation with Jason Adam here on the Sports Spectrum podcast. Jason, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
It's been a while since we've met. We met about a year ago, and watching 2018 kind of take shape was a lot of fun, especially having met you and then getting to talk to you today. I'm excited to kind of dive into your journey. Let's talk about that journey for a sec. If I was introducing you and I said you were drafted by the Royals in 2010 and made your Major League debut with the same team in 2018, many people would say, okay, that makes sense. He went through the system and got a shot. That's not exactly what it was for you, this wild and crazy ride of baseball. Why don't you just share with us the gist of what had happened for you leading up to 2018?
Yeah, I'll try to make it
as
condensed as possible.
Sure.
Drafted by the Royals in 2010. Pumped. I grew up in Kansas City, so awesome. Things were going well.
Yeah.
2011, low A, 12, high A, basically a level per year. 2014, I think I'm going to in AAA. I think I'm on my way to the big leagues pretty soon. See the coaches talking and then looking at me. I'm like, all right, I'm going to the big leagues. I think this is it. They come over like, Jason. I'm like, ooh, all right. and then they're like, you just got traded to the Twins. And I was like, oh, okay. So I went to the Twins, and I also got demoted in the process. So Twins, I got hurt my very first outing. Felt a pop in my elbow. They said, we didn't think it was anything serious. So then I went to the fall league and just kept getting worse. I ended up missing, I finished out 2014 hurt. Missed 2015. I had elbow surgery on a stress fracture in my arm. Something went weird. We still really don't know what happened. So I had a second surgery in 15, and then thought I was coming back. No, third surgery on the same elbow in 15 or 16. It all blends together. And it ended up having 4 surgeries on my elbow. Became a minor league free agent because I think at that point the Twins were like, we're good.
Moving on. Yeah.
So I went to the Padres, had another setback, no surgery, got released in August after I finally got healthy, signed back with the Royals, went to AA, finished out the season healthy, and then came in 2018 with the Royals.
Yeah.
Went to AA, had some success, went to AAA, and then on May 5th made my major league debut.
So that's a lot. I mean, that's injuries and arms, issues and here, there, and everywhere. The old Beatles song. I mean, that is a lot. Talk about your faith journey, I guess, and let's hear about that story.
Yeah.
Because I think they intersect with baseball. Let me hear where faith was, I guess, growing up, and then kind of when it really started to take shape for you.
Yeah, so I grew up in a strong Christian household, and that was awesome. I'm so thankful for that. And then as I went out and did my own thing in professional baseball, I never denied God. I still was definitely a Christian, but I kind of pushed his, I kind of like stuffed the spirit down and like didn't really walk in the fullness of life God called me to. So and things were going well, so I was kind of like, why would I change? But then in 2014, when I got hurt, I actually got hurt right after I got baptized at this conference, the PAO, or the Increase Conference. Yeah. And from then on, I was like, wow, this is the real deal. This is eternity at stake here. I need to start living it. So she was then my fiance. We were kind of like, we started reading the Bible, reading books like about the Bible, and like really getting into how do we want to live this out. And every time my arm broke again, God was kind of breaking me a little bit more. And then it was finally that time I needed the fourth surgery. I'd completely broke. That was the first time through it all that I like cried. I was crushed. Like I may never play baseball again. And so God used that to take me to my knees and be like, all right, God, like I fully surrender this. My hands are open. It's yours. If you never want me to play again, fine. Like I'm at peace with that. But if you do, please make it clear. Like give me some encouragement or something. And he did in time, and that came with the opportunity with the Padres after 2 years of not playing and 4 surgeries. I don't know. Like from a baseball side, like why did they give me that opportunity even? Yeah. So that was totally him. And so now I can say like I live fully. I still struggle. I still try to take it back. I want control of my career as if I'm in control. But I get to just give it back constantly, give it back to God. So now it's a totally different and I want everyone to be able to live in this freedom. Yeah.
Was it hard? That's probably not the right question, but your baseball career, when you're in that really tough spot, is your faith growing, or are you running towards God, or are you kind of like, what the heck? You know, what are you doing here, Lord?
Both, honestly, both, but it was more like 3 steps toward God, 1 step backwards. So he kept pulling me closer. And I mean, part of that is I have a great wife who is like so in love with Jesus, and she'll if I need tough love, she'll give me tough love. And if I need a tender wife, she'll be that too. Yeah. And what was awesome was when I was in rehab with the Padres, we were like, all right, God, like this is where you have us. Like, let's be present. Let's bloom where we're planted type of thing. Yeah. And we started a Bible study, and I'm not kidding. When I finally got out of rehab with the Padres, like I was kind of sad. Like I was thrilled baseball wise, but I was like, man, I'm gonna miss like these people in this time. So it was just crazy how he totally like flipped the script, and now I was like, this isn't. Baseball. Like I want to be excellent. I want to be the best possible pitcher, but why? It's for Jesus, right? And if Jesus has me in rehab, I'm gonna be the best rehabber, and I'm gonna be the best. Man of God, and try to do whatever he has me, wherever he has me.
Wherever you are at that moment. Mm-hmm. Tell me about, you mentioned your wife, Kelsey. Tell me about how you guys met and came together.
Yeah, so I was in High A in Wilmington, Delaware. Okay. And again, one of those things, I was like, Delaware?
Hi, I'm in Delaware. What's here?
Yeah, exactly. And so I was kind of dreading that year, like, all right, let's just get through this. And of course, her sister, Kayla, she worked at the stadium. She's like, I think you'd like my sister. And it's like, all right, yeah. Like, she looks pretty. Yeah, I'll meet her. Sure. And we hit it off like that and dated. And again, it wasn't the most God-honoring relationship. And that's something that, like, we had scars in our relationship because I didn't lead well. And we had to work through that. But God totally redeemed it. And now it's the most fun relationship with our little 5-month-old girl, Kinsley, who's the best. And I'm so thankful.
I want to ask you about seminary. And a year ago, you and I met for the first time at this conference that we're taping this interview at now. in 2017, and you began to tell me about Kanaka.
Yeah.
And you and your wife both involved in this together. So I'm fascinated to hear more about what Kanaka is. I think our audience would really like to hear about it. And why go through that? Why go through seminary? Especially a year ago when you didn't know 2018 was going to turn into what 2018 turned into.
Yeah.
So explain what that is.
Yeah. So Kanaka as a broad ministry. They're youth camps, like sports focused. And they just like from kids, I think they start at like 6 or whatever. And they're like week-long, month-long camps where they just pour the gospel truth into these kids and let them the life-changing power of it. And then they also play sports and they teach sports, and it's awesome. But what we did was called the Kanaka Institute, and that's a 7-month like accelerated seminary. For me, I was only there for like 5 months because of off season.
Yeah.
But it teaches you essentially how to take, because ministry is sometimes full-time ministry as a pastor or whatever, and sometimes it's where you work. So for me, my ministry is at the baseball field.
Yeah.
And they taught us how to take our ministry into our work, whatever that looks like, because I think a true faith and a like living truly for Jesus is not church on Sunday, then work. It's together. It impacts everything, how you live, and every conversation you have.
Yeah. And what about your wife being a part of that with you? Was she in the same classes? And it was kind of like this, and she had found out during when you were there, I think, that she was pregnant as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So there's a lot going on.
Yeah, we actually got pregnant there.
So. Oh, there you go. Oh, Kanaka.
Yeah, Kanaka.
Go Kanaka.
So if you're married and you go there, be careful.
Yeah, that's right. That's awesome.
So we got pregnant there. But I hope and I pray like our daughter Kinsley wants to go to this as well, because getting to do that with Kelsey, it made our relationship like this. Like one of the first things we did there, I was late, so I kind of missed like the fun intro stuff, and I went first day there, it was called Cleansing and Filling, and it's literally you go with a partner. For me, it was my spouse Kelsey, and you literally confess your like deepest, darkest secrets and like get it all out there.
Oh wow!
And like it was like, oh,
how hard is that?
Awful, but awesome at the end. But like
sure,
at
in
first
the moment,
you're like sweating, you're like things like, I mean, and so, but then like we were close, I thought before, but after that it was like, because you realize like, no, that's okay. Like I never thought you were perfect. Like to know this about you, that you struggle with this, or to know, it brings you so close, and it brings a whole nother level of accountability. So I went right into the hard stuff, but getting to do that with her, it grew our marriage like. I can't even quantify how much.
I got to imagine how great that was. So at this point a year ago, again, you had just signed back with the Royals, as you mentioned earlier, and in the spring you're assigned to AA Northwest Arkansas, right? A place that you had pitched 5 years earlier, actually. What are you thinking going into 2018, last year, and where God had placed you at that point?
Yeah, I'm thinking. I was happy to have a job. So
that's always a good place to start.
But then, as you get like with anything, I want more. So I was thinking. I went into spring training like I want to just like wow these guys and somehow like be in the big leagues like out of spring training like a miracle. And that obviously didn't happen. But I was still...
Well, it kind of did, though.
It happened shortly after, yeah.
In the way you described it. Yeah.
So, but I was, again, Kelsey and I were always talking, and she was keeping me humble and keeping me focused on the right things. And we said, all right, I'm going to go to Arkansas. I'm going to plan on being there the whole year, and what can I do to make my teammates better on the field, but more importantly, off the field and in their walk with Christ.
Yeah.
And so that was my focus, and it took so much pressure off me. And I was pitching well, but then I was also like, I was actually just about to start a Bible study. I was talking to one of the guys, Scott Blewett, and like, all right, let's get this started then.
You got a call.
Promoted to AAA. Yeah. And then met them on the road.
That was Omaha.
Yeah. Met them actually in Colorado Springs, which is where I had gotten traded from back in 2014. So God I felt like he took me back like a little milestone. Like, hey, remember this? Like, totally different.
Yeah.
Again, like got involved in their Bible study right away, and then it was like really bonding with those guys. I'm like, great, I'm going to plan on being here a long time and just embrace it. And it was, I never played a home game. I went to Colorado Springs, Iowa, and then called Kansas City. Yeah.
So how hard was that initially to go? I mean, you were only, I think I wrote down here in my math, you had 6 games in Arkansas and 11 games in Omaha. that you were a part of.
Yeah, that actually.
So it was pretty quick.
It was very quick. Yeah, it was.
So you couldn't really settle in at all, right?
No, which was awesome.
No, I mean, it's always awesome to get to the big leagues, but I mean, like, your plan is to, bloom where you're planted, obviously, but to have an impact on the team that you're there with. You obviously pitched lights out, but you weren't really able to kind of spiritually ingrain yourself into either of those teams, right?
Yeah, and that was, and there was an aspect that was tough. Kind of like when I got out of rehab and I was pumped, there was also that little bit of like, oh man, I'm going to miss this. And it was like, oh man, in a very small way, like, oh man, I was looking forward to starting that Bible study.
Of course.
Or, oh man, I really got along with those guys. And, but obviously, thrilled to get that call.
Let's talk about that. May 4th, 2018, you get the phone call. Where were you? I remember reading this story, but I think a lot of our listeners may not know it. Tell me about where you were and kind of how the whole process took place of you finding out you're in the big leagues.
Yeah, so we had just driven back to Omaha that night, or the previous night, to start a home series. So we were at Kelsey and I were at the hotel in Omaha, and I was like, I'm going to go get my hair cut. Got it cut. So walking back to the hotel right across the street, and I see a missed call from the manager. I'm like, So he calls.
Why would the manager call
And he's
me?
kind of like, he's like, hey, I hate to always be the one that's got to give you this news, but you got traded again. And I was like, part of me is like, he's kidding, right? And like, part of me is like, oh, I thought he was kidding last time too. Right. And then he's like, no, he's like, but you got traded just down the street. Like, you're heading to Kansas City. And I was like,
wow.
What? So I ran upstairs, told Kelsey.
Tears flowed?
Yeah, tears.
Yeah.
What? She's like, what? And then we just hit the road and hightailed it to KC before they changed their mind.
And the next day you were pitching, right?
Pitched. So I was at the game that night, didn't pitch, pitched the next day. And it went pretty well. I mean, got a strikeout, gave up a walk, walked a guy, got a strikeout, gave up a hit. Salvi caught a guy stealing, so I kind of checked a lot of boxes, which was nice.
That first game, so let's go through the motions a little bit. So you get the call, you go back, you tell your wife, it's exciting, you go to the ballpark, but let's walk through that motion. I think it's a dream for so many to just have that opportunity. You get to the ballpark, and then what happens? Did you even know where to go, who to find? Like the jersey waiting for you in the locker, all that.
Unreal, yeah. So it was just like... I mean, I still get goosebumps thinking about it. Because I grew up in Kansas City. I grew up going to those games, $7 high-V seats, like upper deck. Mm-hmm. So, like, driving up to the stadium and realizing, like, oh, I'm here to play. Like, I'm not here to just watch these guys. That was cool. And then, like, having one of the clubhouse guys come up and take my bag. I'm like, oh, I don't even have to carry my bag here. And then everything. And then going in and seeing all the guys that I'd played with and guys that I'd looked up to too, and it was just like indescribable, really. Like I really wish every person could experience that.
Yeah,
it's so fun.
So how nervous are you? You're making your debut, and you actually get the call. You're going out, Adam.
Yeah,
here we go.
Yeah,
how nervous are you, or are you just adrenaline flowing and you're just going through it?
Yeah, the heart's going.
Yeah, exactly.
But I got great advice from our bullpen coach Vance Wilson, who actually was my manager in low A, high A, and double A.
Former Mets catcher.
Yeah,
right?
Stud.
There you go.
Great guy. And he's like, listen, he's like, take this in. When you walk out, like, look up at the stadium, like, but once you, and like, enjoy it, and then like, once you hit that infield dirt, then like, lock it in kind of thing. So he told me to do that, and I did that. And I went to lock it in. I'm like, so I walked the first guy. But then Salvi came out, talked to me, calmed me down, and then it was good after that. But yeah, so it was just like, I mean, your heart's pumping. I'm like, oh, I'm doing this for Jesus, but at the same time, like, this is a dream.
Yeah. Are you able to take away mementos? I would assume they gave you the ball, your jersey. Like, how does that work as a big leaguer? Do you get to keep any of that stuff?
Yeah, so it's different per team, but the Royals are awesome about that. So I walked in, hat. They basically ripped my clothes off me. Like they took my jersey, took my hat, gave me like a bunch of balls from the game, all authenticated, and they ended up framing my jersey.
Oh wow!
For me, pictures from the day in the frame, and then framing the lineup card, first strikeout ball, first pitch ball.
So cool.
it was. I mean, that's
you could never pitch again, and you have that. Forever,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
It was really cool, and something that they don't have to do. I know some teams just give you the jersey, like here you go. They got guys have it hanging in their closet.
Right.
So
yeah,
like veterans were coming up like that, like, hey, where'd they get that? Like, I want to get that with my debut jersey.
Hey, that's the Royals for you. Class organization. Now, you go on to pitch in 31 games last year for the Royals in 2018, 37 strikeouts and 31 innings. That's good. But like I said, and we were talking about it even before, it's highs and it's lows. You're in the big leagues and it's a dream, but suddenly you still got to produce, and it's a job, and it's different. So let's talk about, first of all, the differences in being a minor league player and being a major league player, and from either on the field, but also off the field, and even spiritually.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it is different. It's if you allow it to, it can definitely stress you out more. It's higher leverage. It's people actually care. So like, if I was in AAA and I blew a game, I'm not getting messages on Instagram telling me to retire.
Right.
Like, but then like I actually blew 2 games in Chicago to the same hitter. Mm-hmm. So I think he might be Satan. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
We want to say his name.
No, I'm kidding.
Look it up on Baseball Reference.
No, but and you get those messages, and it's like, for me, like, I think that stuff's kind of funny. Like, like, okay, like, that's fine.
Yeah, of course.
But also, like, it was a huge. I really had to like dig in to like getting in the Word daily and filling myself with truth, because it's naturally more stressful. There's a lot more on the line, or seemingly more on the line.
Sure.
So if I wasn't, there was stretches where I didn't open my Bible for a few days, and I started feeling the stress, and it was like I wanted to do it, so I didn't do it perfectly. I did it inconsistently. Yeah. And so that'd be something that I need to continue to work on, and keep that audience of one mindset. That I'm not doing this for the front office, for the manager.
Right.
I'm doing this for my Lord.
Yeah.
And in turn, I'll be a good teammate. I'll be a good, in the stuff that's important.
Did you recognize, especially your first game? I remember that a lot of press came from that, and a lot of people writing about it, tweeting about it, whatever. But did you recognize the platform and the difference in being a major leaguer versus any of your other times being in the minor leagues, and just from a faith perspective? Oh, this is a different platform. I have people asking me questions
every day. Yeah, absolutely. And that was what really helped me to kind of motivate me to get in the Word more often, and so that I would have an answer, be prepared to make a defense for my faith.
Yeah.
And a lot of cool conversations came from that with even members of the media, like off camera or whatever.
Yeah.
And conversations with teammates. So I was really thankful for that. And then the off season came, and it was almost like, what's my motivation now? I had to kind of check my motives, because it was somewhat easier when you have time in season, when you're on the road especially. But two, I knew I had the potential to go to the field and get asked several questions. Off season, no one's asking me any questions other than people around me.
Yeah, exactly. Now tell me about the biggest lesson, I think, because we all have lessons in life that we learn, but you were there for 31 games that you pitched. Mm-hmm. So what's the biggest lesson you were taught this season while you were in the big leagues, on or off the field, whatever that lesson is?
Yeah, there definitely would be multiple. I think finding a way to be consistent in all aspects of your life. I think obviously baseball-wise, they're looking for consistent performance. Everyone knows that that's the difference between major leaguers and minor leaguers. You're consistent. And then for me, consistency in my walk with God. Am I talking to Him daily like I would anybody else that I love that much?
Yeah.
So am I talking to Him daily? Am I reading His Word? And am I sharing? Am I fulfilling the Great Commission consistently? So trying to find ways to be consistent. Baseball, that looked like I needed to study hitters. I needed to do this. And then obviously spiritually, it looks like praying, and it's different spiritually because there's not as you can't just check a box.
Yeah.
But yeah, trying to be consistent in all areas of life.
A couple more questions here with Jason Adam on the podcast. We mentioned Kinsley Joy, your bundle of joy, if you will, becoming a dad in July. So take us through. You mentioned off air to me that you got sent back down about a week or so before your daughter was born.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of highs and lows there. Getting called to the big leagues, a month and a half later, you get sent back down, and then you become a dad.
Yeah.
So take me through the emotions, but I really want to ask you about what it's been like to be a dad and what that experience has been like for you and how it's changed you.
Yeah, it really, it's a funny story in the way God works. And I got sent down, and I'm in Kansas City at home with my family. My wife's there. I'm like, great, like I'm going to be here for the birth of my child. And then I get sent down right as like she's having like starting to get labor pains. And I'm like, God, what are you doing? I wrestled that with him. I'm like, God, what are you doing? And so we prayed, and like I had somewhat peace, but I was kind of like, what the heck?
Yeah.
And then so it was about a week later, I'm in Omaha, and it's like 11 at night, and I get a call, like, I think it's happening. So I drive. She ends up giving birth at like, I forget the time, but early in the morning that night. And if I was still in the big leagues, I would have missed it because they were on the road. I wouldn't be able to get a flight. So I was there for the birth of Kinsley. And then you get 3 days paternity leave. On that third day, I got a call. I mean, I pitched 2 games, but one was 1 pitch. So I didn't do anything to deserve it. On that third day, I got called back up. I was like, God, like, I know you didn't have to do that, but that was cool. Like
on the third day, let me just say that. People look that up if you don't know what that means. The third day. That's awesome. How's being a dad, and how has that changed you, and just everything that you've been about your faith, certainly, and just your career, and even being a husband, but now being a dad? Yeah,
it's total perspective change. You look at this little baby that's, I mean, like, at that age, like, kind of can't do anything, like, right. Really, like, worthless as far as the world goes, but like, you love her, like, and you'll do anything for her, and like, and Ben was talking about it last night, like, and I'm thinking, like, I love her, so I'll die for you, no question. And God's like, do you think you're a better dad than I am? No, like, how you love her, I love you even more. I created that love in you. So that's totally awesome, and it's just so fun seeing her grow and smile and giggle, and it gives you a whole new appreciation for your spouse.
Yes.
All of the moms, all the moms out there, you're awesome.
Hardest job ever, right? That's what I always say.
Yeah, it's incredible what they do and how they change. Like, they mature. Those 9 months, like, up at 4 a.m. cleaning the closet all of a sudden, like, because they're nesting, which is hilarious.
Yes, but, it's a definite change. That's great, man. Well, it gets better. Trust me. It gets better and better as they get older. Let's close with this. What is the Lord teaching you? I like to ask this on our podcast to all of our guests. Your season, your year, 2018, we're taping this at the end of 2018, right before Christmas. Tell me about kind of what God is teaching you as you get ready to start 2019 and see where the Lord takes you.
Yeah, he's still kind of hitting me with complete surrender, completely surrendering my life to him and trusting him, knowing that he is a good father and he's going to give me his good, which is, if it's not our good, it's better. And so, I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty always with baseball, but obviously with me, like, up and down, you never know where I'll be next year.
Sure.
I could be with any team. I could be in Korea, like, at the drop of a hat. So just fully trusting in him, especially now that I have a family, that makes me really want to control things. But surrendering my life to him and trusting him in all that I do, and trusting him with my family, with my career. Yeah. It's not always easy, but it's simple, just not easy.
It's simple, but not easy, and it's always worth it.
Yeah.
That's what I always say.
Gosh. Yeah.
So, Jason Adam, this has been great. Thanks for joining us here on the podcast. We'll be looking for you in 2019. Excited to see what the Lord has planned, and really appreciate you joining us here on the podcast. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And we do thank Jason Adam for joining us here on the Sports Spectrum podcast. I really liked his story. And I've gotten to know him now for a couple years, and just a really genuinely nice guy, a really good dude, and had the highest of highs in 2018, becoming a dad and making it to the major league level, and then some lows as well. And in many ways, that's what all of our lives entail, is the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. And that's why we need Christ, and that's why we need to cling to him. A little update. So we taped that interview with Jason at the end of November of 2018. And at that point, he didn't know what was going to happen, as you heard at the end of that interview, in 2019. Well, here's an update. Right before Christmas, Jason signed back with the Royals on a minor league deal after he was non-tendered a few weeks before that. And he will be with the Royals at spring training, trying to once again earn a spot at the big league level. And knowing Jason and knowing how hard he's going to work, I would not put any doubt that we will see him back in the major leagues again someday, possibly in 2019. So thanks to Jason Adam for joining us here on the podcast. We also thank you for listening to this episode of Sports Spectrum. As always, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can subscribe on our YouTube channel. And of course, you can find all of our content at sportsspectrum.com, where we want to encourage you to subscribe to our magazine, $18 for an entire year. Go to sportsspectrum.com and subscribe and become a member and a partner with us on the Sports Spectrum podcast, the Sports Spectrum website, and of course, the Sports Spectrum magazine. Just $18 for an entire year. What an amazing deal that is for the Sports Spectrum magazine. Subscribe today. Thanks for listening to this episode with Jason Adam. We'll see you next time for a brand new episode of the Sports Spectrum podcast. Have a great rest of your day.